Funny how people think opportunities come wrapped in comfort, like gifts waiting politely on the doorstep. No, the real ones come disguised, messy, risky, dangerous. And here's the catch. You miss them. You don't just lose a moment. You lose everything that could have grown from it. That's the trap. One skipped choice, one ignored door, one chance tossed aside, because it looked inconvenient, and suddenly the whole future starts collapsing. You think you're safe by passing it up, but really, you've just signed away the very thing you were desperate to keep. Skip chances rewrite your future. People think choices are small, like pebbles tossed into a river. They think one skipped moment, one avoided risk, one ignored voice doesn't matter. But every pebble changes the flow. Every decision redirects the current. And when you skip the chance that was meant for you, you don't just avoid a moment. You rewrite the entire map of your life. The future you could have had slips away, and you don't even notice until it's too late. That's the cruel part. You think you're safe. You think you're steady. But the bridge you refuse to cross is the one that would have led you to everything. Most people don't realize how fragile destiny is. They think it's bulletproof, untouchable, guaranteed. But destiny isn't some unbreakable law. It's a door that opens when you obey the call. Miss it and it closes, maybe forever. Maybe it shifts into a darker hallway. One that costs twice as much, one that breaks twice as hard. That's the danger of skipping chances. You gamble with a future you can't get back. And you don't just lose a step. You lose a lifetime built on what that step would have unlocked. Skipped chances don't announce themselves. They don't scream, "This is it." They arrive quietly, wrapped in uncertainty, hidden in inconvenience, disguised as risk. And that's why people miss them. They wait for something obvious, something easy, something painted in neon lights. But the biggest doors never look like doors. They look like problems, like sacrifices, like work. And people step over them. Blind, thinking they're being wise, thinking they're being cautious, when really they're trading their own future for the illusion of safety. The tragedy is you rarely feel the weight of a missed chance in the moment. It feels harmless, like nothing happened. But days pass, years pass, and slowly the emptiness creeps in. The dream never shows up. The breakthrough never comes. The person you were supposed to become never arrives. And you wonder why. You wonder where it all went wrong. But the truth is simple. You skipped the chance, and the chance carried the rest of your life with it. Every skipped chance plants regret like a seed. At first, you don't notice it, but over time it grows. It whispers when you're alone. It scratches when you're quiet. It shows you glimpses of the life you could have had. And regret is the heaviest chain of all, because you can't fight it. You can't undo it. You can't go back. All you can do is feel it tighten every time you remember the door you walked past. People love to say, if it's meant to be, it'll come back. That's the lie they tell themselves to feel better about skipping the hard choice. But not every door opens twice. Some slam shut forever. Some were only meant for that exact moment, and once the time passes, so does the opportunity. That's why the warning always comes with urgency. Because skipping isn't harmless. It's fatal to the future that was supposed to be yours. And it doesn't stop at you. When you skip your chance, it ripples into everyone connected to you. The people you were supposed to help, the lives you were supposed to touch, the future you were meant to change. They all pay for your hesitation. One skipped chance doesn't just rewrite your story, it rewrites theirs. And that weight doesn't disappear. It sits there, waiting for you to admit the truth. You didn't just lose a moment. You lost everything that moment carried. Skip chances rewrite your future because they were never small. They were seeds meant to grow into forests, sparks meant to burn into fire, doors meant to open into kingdoms. And when you ignore them, you don't just lose a seed, you lose the forest. You don't just lose a spark, you lose the fire. You don't just lose a door, you lose the world behind it. And the worst part, most people don't realize what they've thrown away until they're left standing in the ruins of the life they settled for. Fear loves to dress itself up in fancy clothes. It puts on a suit, calls itself logic, calls itself caution, even whispers that it's wisdom. You see it standing there, calm, composed, pretending it's just looking out for you. But if you tear off the mask, if you peel back the smile, you find trembling hands and shaking bones, because underneath it all, it's just fear, ugly, weak, desperate to keep you exactly where you are. And people fall for it every single time. They let it sit at the head of the table, let it call the shots, let it decide who they are and what they deserve. They don't realize that fear doesn't actually stop danger. It creates it. Because while you sit still, while you back away, while you wait for some perfect moment that never comes, the world moves on without you, and the door that was open slowly locks shut. You've seen it before, haven't you? That voice inside that tells you, not now, maybe later. Oh, it sounds so reasonable, so protective, like it cares for your safety. But the truth, it doesn't care about your safety. It cares about your prison. It doesn't want you bruised, but it doesn't want you free either. So it convinces you to play it safe, to hide, to wait. And in the end, you realize all that waiting cost you more than any risk ever could. Fear takes no responsibility. It sits there grinning while you watch opportunities rot into dust. And you tell yourself, at least I didn't fail. But deep down, you know the truth. You did fail. Because you never tried. The cruel trick fear plays is convincing you that retreat is wisdom, that silence is strength, that inaction is protection. But wisdom without action is just cowardice in disguise. People love to say they're being careful. They're thinking it through. They're making the smart choice. But if you peel back the layers, most of the time they're just terrified. And terrified people don't make wise decisions. They make excuses. They'd rather call it patience than admit it's paralysis. They'd rather call it timing than confess they're too scared to move. And fear laughs, because it knows once you label it wisdom, you'll never question it again. You'll carry it like a shield, not realizing it's made of paper. And when the fire comes, you'll be the first to burn. Think about how many lives have been wasted this way. How many people stayed in jobs they hated because fear said, "It's stable, it's safe. Don't risk losing it." How many people stayed silent when they should have spoken because fear said, "Don't stir the waters, don't make enemies, just stay quiet." How many let love slip away because fear said, "You're not enough, they'll never choose you, better not to try." And every time, fear plays the same card. It pretends to protect you, but it's not protection. It's theft. It steals years, it steals dreams. It steals the fire in your bones until you're just another empty shell telling yourself you made the wise choice. Fear doesn't need to chain your hands. It doesn't need to lock your feet. All it needs is to whisper that staying still is safer than moving forward. And you believe it because you want to. Because safety is sweet, it feels warm. It feels like a blanket over your shaking body. But blankets smother, and safety suffocates, and before you realize it, you're buried alive under all the choices you never made. Fear is the graveyard of potential, and when you let it call itself wisdom, you dig the hole deeper with your own hands. The difference between fear and wisdom is simple. Wisdom pushes you to act, even if the risk is real. Fear stops you before the race even starts. Wisdom is aware of danger, but doesn't bow to it. Fear bows so low it never stands again. And people confuse them because fear knows how to mimic the sound of wisdom. It knows the words, it knows the tone, it knows exactly how to convince you that holding back is noble, that silence is strength, that hesitation is strategy. But if you're honest with yourself, brutally honest, you'll see it. You'll hear the quiver in its voice, the lie in its tone, the desperation in its eyes, and you'll know you've been tricked. The tragedy is most people never notice. They go through life holding on to their so-called wisdom, never realizing it was fear all along. They sit at the end of their days, staring at everything they didn't do, everything they didn't try, everything they let slip through their fingers, because they were too smart, too careful, too safe. And in that silence, when the years are gone, fear finally takes off its mask, and then it laughs because it knows it won. Comfort, that sweet little liar, whispers in your ear like a friend. It tells you you've earned it, that you deserve it, that there's no need to push, no need to fight, no need to chase the edge anymore. It dresses itself up as peace, as happiness, as security. But behind the curtain, it's the most dangerous enemy you'll ever face. Comfort doesn't stab you in the chest. It drains you slow, like poison slipping into your veins, making you too numb to notice what's slipping away. It pats you on the back, while it robs your future. People think comfort is the reward, but more often than not, it's the silent thief that steals the very destiny they were born for. You see it everywhere. People sink into routines, calling it stability, when really it's surrender. They stop taking risks because they've built a little bubble where nothing ever changes. And at first, it feels good, doesn't it? Safe, predictable, easy. But the price of easy is heavy. It kills your hunger, your ambition, your fire. And once that fire is gone, you're nothing but ashes pretending to still be alive. You call it peace, but it's just decay. You call it rest, but it's a coffin with cushions. Comfort convinces you there's no rush, that tomorrow will always be there. And that's the cruelest lie of them all. Because while you're busy waiting for the perfect time, time itself is bleeding out. Days, months, years. They slip through your fingers like sand while you're curled up in the arms of comfort, blind to the fact that every second is gone forever. Comfort never tells you that tomorrow isn't guaranteed. It just rocks you to sleep while your life slips away. And the worst part, you don't even realize you're losing. If someone stole your wallet, you'd fight. If someone burned your house, you'd scream. But when comfort steals your future, you smile and say thank you. Because it feels good, it feels soft, it feels easy. You don't see the chains until it's too late. You don't hear the lock click until you're trapped. Comfort is the perfect prison because you decorate the walls yourself. You convince yourself you want to stay, and you throw away the key with your own hand. Think about how many people live their entire lives this way. They dream big when they're young. They talk about changing the world, about breaking cycles, about building empires. But then comfort whispers, "You're fine here. Don't risk it. Don't fail. Don't step out of line." And slowly, dream by dream, they trade their fire for a chair in front of a glowing screen. Their ambition for a routine that never changes. They don't even notice it happening. By the time they wake up, years are gone, and the dreams are buried so deep they barely remember them. Comfort is a slow funeral, but the body is still breathing. You think you're safe in comfort, but really you're just avoiding growth. Growth requires pain. Growth requires discomfort, stretching, breaking old patterns, bleeding if you have to. And comfort hates that. It tells you, why struggle when you can stay here? But what it doesn't tell you is that staying means shrinking, decaying, rotting from the inside out. Comfort doesn't freeze time, it robs it. You don't stay the same when you stop moving. You get smaller, weaker, emptier. And comfort smiles while it happens, because it knows you'll never fight what feels good. The trap is that comfort looks harmless. It doesn't shout. It doesn't bite. It doesn't scare you. It just waits. It waits for you to stop running, stop fighting, stop stretching. And when you finally sit down, it wraps its arms around you and never lets go. You don't even realize the damage until one day you look back and wonder where all the years went. Wonder what happened to the fire in your chest. Wonder why you're still in the same place while the world has moved on. That's when you see it. The cozy little prison you built with your own hands. Comfort is the most seductive enemy because it makes you believe you're winning while you're actually losing everything. It doesn't strip you of your life all at once. It steals it in pieces quietly, gently, until there's nothing left but a shell smiling at the illusion of safety. And that's the tragedy. People don't wake up until it's too late, until the doors are locked, until all that's left is regret dressed up as wisdom. One ignored moment, that's all it takes. People think it's nothing, just a small choice, just a little delay, just one chance slipping through their fingers. They shrug it off like it doesn't matter. But the truth, that one skipped moment carries weight heavier than a lifetime. Because opportunities aren't single events, they're seeds. You plant one, it grows into a tree, and that tree gives shade, fruit, shelter. Ignore planting it, and you don't just lose the seed. You lose the entire forest that could have come from it. And the cruel part is, you never know how much you really lost. You just sit in the desert, thirsty, pretending it was never meant for you in the first place. Think about it. One ignored decision can set a chain in motion that you'll never reverse. You miss the meeting, you don't make the call. You stay quiet when you should have spoken. And in that moment, history changes. A future version of you dies before it even has a chance to exist. That version who would have been stronger, richer, freer, more alive. Gone, just like that, erased by hesitation. And you don't get to meet them, you don't get to become them. All because you skipped the moment that could have opened the door. It's funny how people downplay it. They tell themselves, "Oh, it's fine, another chance will come, life is full of opportunities." But no, life doesn't recycle the same doors. Once it's closed, it's gone. Sure, new doors appear, but not the same one. Not the one that was designed to lead exactly where you needed to go. That's why regret burns so deep. It's not just about what you lost. It's about knowing it was yours. It had your name on it, and you let it slip away because it looked too small, too risky, too early, too late. Excuses are the bricks, and regret is the wall. And people live behind that wall forever. The worst part is how quiet the loss is. When you mess up loudly, you know. When you crash, you feel it. But when you skip a chance, the damage doesn't scream. It whispers. It follows you in the shadows. You don't notice it right away. You just feel something missing. A weight in your chest. A nagging thought that something should have been different. And as time passes, that whisper grows louder, sharper, crueler, until you can't escape it. You start to replay the moment over and over, wondering what if, what if, what if. That's how people end up haunted. Not by what they did, but by what they didn't do. And you can't undo it. That's the tragedy. You can't go back and take the shot you refused. Can't open the door you ignored. Can't rewind the clock and grab the hand you let go of. Time is merciless. It doesn't wait for you to realize. It doesn't give you sympathy when you're finally ready. It just moves forward, dragging the lost moment behind it, out of reach forever. That's why one ignored moment can shatter everything. Because time doesn't forgive. People love to tell themselves they'll get another chance. That's the lie that keeps them comfortable. If it's meant to be, it'll come again. No, that's not how it works. Destiny isn't a patient teacher handing you the same test until you get it right. Skip the test, and you fail. And failure here doesn't mean embarrassment. It means erasure. It means you don't even get to see the life that could have been yours. And the scary part is, you'll never truly know what you missed. You'll just feel its absence like a ghost tugging at your soul. The chain reaction of one ignored moment is endless. Maybe that one yes would have introduced you to the right person, who would have opened the right door, who would have led you to the right place. Or maybe it would have built your strength, sharpened your skills, prepared you for the battles ahead. But now, all of it vanishes because you chose safety, you chose silence, you chose delay. You think you avoided failure, but really, you created it. You think you kept yourself safe, but really, you burned down the bridge to everything you wanted. That's the cruelty of ignoring a moment. It doesn't just take away what was in front of you. It takes away everything behind it, everything connected, everything that could have been. It's not just a door closed, it's a city destroyed. And you walk away pretending it was nothing, when deep inside you know it was everything. Sacrifice is a word people spit out like it's poison, but they don't realize it's the medicine. Everyone wants the reward, the glory, the breakthrough, but almost no one wants to bleed for it. They want the crown without the thorns, the fire without the burn, the victory without the scars. But life doesn't work that way. Everything worth keeping demands a cost. And the cost always comes first. If you're not willing to give something up now, you'll end up paying far more later. That's the twisted little law that never fails. You either sacrifice willingly or get sacrificed by the weight of regret. People think sacrifice means loss, but it's actually trade. You're giving up comfort, laziness excuses, small pleasures for something greater. You put down the crumbs so you can feast on the bread. But the trick is in the moment, the crumbs look tempting. They're right in front of you, easy to grab, sweet to taste. And the bread, the real meal, it's further down the road, hidden by distance and struggle. So what do most people do? They grab the crumbs and starve later, all while convincing themselves they were clever for choosing the easy option. They don't see that small sacrifices now protect them from massive losses later. You skip discipline, you pay in wasted years. You skip hard work, you pay in a lifetime of mediocrity. You skip honesty, you pay in broken trust. You skip sacrifice, you pay with everything. That's the deal. There's no loophole, no shortcut, no way around it. Life demands the price. And it doesn't care if you cry about it. If you don't pay in advance, it comes to collect with interest, and the interest is brutal. That's why so many people end up broke in spirit, empty in purpose, bitter in their old age. They thought they were saving themselves from pain, but really they were stacking up debt they couldn't afford.